What's up, everybody? Today's recording and breakdown is brought to you by Corrie. Tom requested this breakdown. Corrie, he's a brown belt, and he really likes lasso guard. And Marcos Tinoco, the gentleman right over here in the white gi, is a specialist in lasso, and he's just one of the best jiu-jitsu players in general. And he has a really, really interesting game. And let's take a look at what happened in the beginning sequence. So Tinoco right here, as opposed to what we saw yesterday, what we saw with Rafael Lovato and Hajar, Tinoco is just going to go straight in for the grip. He's not going to use his backhand. So he gets the grip. Now he's going to start to pull Gilvan. I'm not really sure who his opponent is. He's going to start pulling him in backwards. And as he pulls him in backwards, he's going to start to pull. Unfortunately, he's pulling him a little bit out of bounds. So they're going to end up out of bounds. And then the action is going to stop. So he pulls, and right away, it looks like he's trying to go for a lasso. And what Gilvan is doing is he's retracting his arm. So then what Tinoco is going to do, he's going to put a De La Riva hook instead. So he puts the De La Riva hook, but he still has, the interesting thing is he still has the grip as if he is going to go for the lasso. And now his other hand, he's grabbing the ankle. So he almost has like reverse De La Riva grips, but with the regular De La Riva hook. And because he had that ankle with his right hand and he had the sleeve with his left, he had his leg wrapped around his De La Riva. This whole side of Gilvan was exposed, meaning that he couldn't base out with that side. His bases were taken away. So that's why it was easy to get tipped over into this direction right over here. And now from here, Tinoco is just coming up. But since they're out of bounds, they're going to reset in the middle. And let's see what's going to happen now. So usually when you tie up with a collar and a sleeve, usually you pull with the foot on the sleeve so that the person doesn't grab your leg. But Tinoco is going to be pulling with that same side leg because it looks like he's going to go for lasso on the sleeve that he's controlling. Here they're having some stand-up. So Tinoco pulls in, and this time he opts to go for close guard. From close guard, let's look at the base of his Gilvan. So his posture, keep an eye on his posture. His posture is broken down a little bit, but look at also his base. His right knee is a little bit ahead of his left, and his body is not in like a pyramid. So when the person is on top in a closed guard, they should be really spread out, seated low on their hips. They could be on their shoelaces or on the ball of their foot, on their toes, and it should more or less resemble like a pyramid. But right here, he's on the ball of his foot on one foot, he's on a shoelace on the other, and his knees are slightly misaligned. And let's keep watching. Pay attention to his posture. You see how the posture? So all of his weight is really on this knee right over here. And since all of his weight is on that knee, watch what's going to happen momentarily. So Tinoco is looking to make some grips. Tinoco is just staying patient. Tinoco is looking to reach underneath. And that puts even more weight on this knee right over here every time that he takes this leg back. Puts the foot on the hip, showing like armbar setups, trying to create angles. And even with the foot on the hip, he didn't put the foot onto the floor right over here. He didn't grab the pants on the outside or make an underhook like the traditional flower sweep. He still had the Gilvan sleeve right over here, and he just made a big bridge. And since all of Gilvan's weight was on this knee, he's going to go over in a second. As soon as he goes over, Gilvan is trying to hip escape right away. So what Tinoco is going to do is he's going to start to smash his hip downward, and he's going to lift his sleeve upward. So notice how he's bringing his hips down. He's going to be pulling his sleeves up. Soon he's going to start to control his head with this arm right over here. And he's going to start to go down and start slightly to come up. He switched his hand. He's controlling with the other hand now. And now he starts to make a grip on the gi. He's just keeping his base nice and low. And if you saw my breakdown from yesterday with Hajar Gracie against Rafael Lovato Jr., you're going to see that their mount is very, very similar. They're going to be using a lot of the same principles with the feet on the hips, the feet being tucked firmly right on the outside of the hips, knees having a wide base, and he's going to be looking to attack that same cross choke, except he's going to be doing a variation with a loose lapel grip. So here he's establishing this grip right over here. And notice how he takes out that lapel, because he's going to be using that lapel to choke Gilvan in a second. Notice the same principles. Because he's grabbing with his left, he's leaning towards his right. So now he's going for a cross choke, switching the grip, now going to the other side. And notice Gilvan's arms. He can't effectively push with his arms because his elbows are on top of his shoulders. He wants his elbows underneath his shoulders so he can push Tinoco downward and put his frames on his hips, block his legs, block his hips from advancing forward, but now he's out of position. The referee's keeping an eye on the action. Maybe he thinks that Gilvan is going to tap soon. So notice the feet. Like how he tucks the feet right on the hips. So he's no longer seated on the hips. He has a very high mount. And Gilvan's bucking and bridging doesn't really do too much because, again, Tinoco is not seated on his hips. So it's pretty ineffective. He's trying to push him off. That's to no avail. They're going to restart. Same grip. So here, Tinoco, he traps his arm right in his pocket. It's a super beautiful control. He's grabbing his tricep and he's using his elbow to pin his wrist to his body. Now he's going to go for the S mount. And then he's going to set up, obviously, the armbar. But let's look at the angle of the armbar once he gets it. So now he's in S mount. So right now, here, Tinoco has to look away, like towards Gilvan's legs, to be able to throw his foot over his face. And his hips have to be facing upward to get the finish. So right now his hips are facing upward, but Gilvan is coming up, is following him. And Tinoco uses his other leg to bring him back down. And now he's going to throw the leg over the face, but the angle of his hips is right here. His hips have to be at this angle to get the finish. So here it's more of like an omoplata setup. So Tinoco is going to go for like an omoplata, but as Gilvan comes up, now he goes into his closed guard. So Gilvan still has, again, most of his weight on his right leg. Same position right over here. Look at his base. In my opinion, it's not preferable to be like this, in this kind of base. He should be seen. Maybe he has an injury on his leg. It's possible that he has a knee injury right over here. And then now he stands up, and now as he stands up, now this is, in my opinion, and many other people's opinion, a much stronger way to open up the closed guard, which he's going to do in a second. So Tinoco's already controlling the sleeve, opens up, tries to go for an overhead sweep, and Gilvan sits down. Now Tinoco's going to bring his leg through. He has like a shallow lasso right over here, and now he's going to be playing lasso. Here, Gilvan, it's, in my opinion, like, you can't be staying still. You know, you have to keep moving. You have to try to break the grips. You have to try to use your knee on the inside of the hamstring right over here to try to strip this grip. You have to try to start looking for leg drags on the other side, going on one knee, trying to use the other knee to pressure inward, long steps, etc. So now what Tinoco did is he brought his leg all the way through. He's going to put it on the floor. He's going to put the other foot on the floor. He has a double sleeve grip, and he's going to launch Gilvan in this direction right over here. But he does too much power it's going to be too strong. And as he goes, boom, Gilvan is able to use that momentum to come back up. But Tinoco still has that sleeve. Look how sticky that sleeve is. He's not letting that go. And he goes back to the same position that he had a second ago. Now he's controlling this leg right over here. So look at the control that Tinoco has. He has a lasso, so he's controlling Gilvan's right sleeve. And with his right hand, Tinoco is controlling this pant right over here. So again, the same as the very, very first sweep in the sequence, Gilvan is going to be very easy to knock over into this direction. So what Gilvan has to do is he has to put his weight on the other side, and he has to try to strip one of the grips, the leg being, in my opinion, the easier one to strip, especially if he starts to put this knee on the floor. And then trying to, again, put his weight there and then advancing in that direction. So now watch what's going to happen. So Tinoco is going to tilt his body this way, and as soon as he does, he looks like he's connecting us like a small De La Riva position hook right over here too. And notice how Tinoco is very patient with his grips. He does not change his grips. As soon as he gets the grips that he wants, he stays with them until he achieves the sweep that he's trying to do. This leg, in my opinion, is more of like a distraction. He's trying to keep Gilvan away from him, keeping that back arm away. And now he brought his hips all the way up, which is now going to enable him to come to our direction, towards the screen, us over here, a little bit easier. Right there. As soon as he comes in, I think Tinoco could have let his grips go and came up, but as we see, Tinoco's, such a patient player, such a correct player, doing everything step by step. Doesn't let anything go until everything is looks like perfect. So he's gonna take his time to come up. What Tinoco is gonna do is he's gonna take this leg, and it's right now on the inside. What he's gonna do is he's gonna pummel it on the outside to come up, because if he comes up now, he's going to come up into Gilvan's half guard, and when he takes this leg out, he's going to come straight to side control position. But Gilvan is going to do a good job of defending. So Tinoco, as he comes up, he's going to come up into a very strong hip smash position. So let's keep an eye. So notice he didn't let his grips go. Tinoco keeps his grips the whole time. He's so patient with his grips. Here, Gilvan is, there's not too much he can really do. Only his left arm is free, or he's using this hand to grab Tinoco's pants. It's hard to say what to do for Gilvan in this position. It's a tough spot to be in, a very sticky spot. So on the come up, Tinoco scrambles a little bit, and now he turns it into a hip smash position right here. So notice again, now Tinoco keeps his base really wide. He takes his head, brings it on the inside, right underneath. He's going to start to go underneath Gilvan's head. This arm is going to start to reach around for a crossface. The other arm is going to start to go for an underhook. And as soon as he does that, look at how Tinoco smashes his hips and sprawls his hips to the mat. And then using that, he slowly mounts on Gilvan. As he creeps up, he sets up pretty much the same position that he was working with earlier. Same exact, very similar grip. I don't think it was exactly the same grip. I think he switched it to the other arm, but this is a variation on the lapel grip, cross choke. Uses his feet to tuck in on the side of Gilvan's legs. And now pushes that arm across. He's going to bring this knee nice and high like a pillow. S-mount on the other side, leaning his body towards his left. Steps over the face, and he finishes the armbar. So the difference between this armbar and the previous is that the previous he sat first, then he was throwing the leg over because he had a very, very tight armpit grip. But Gilvan was able to come up, and as he was coming up, Tinoco fixed it. He brought it back down, and as he brought it back down, he lost the angle of the armbar and had to go for an omoplata, ended up in closed guard. Whereas here, this was a classic S-mount to armbar, and Gilvan had no choice but to tap, and that was it. Beautiful performance. Gilvan is looks like a really tough fighter, but Tinoco is just one of the best, super strong athlete. Very strong clean technique, very strong lasso, De La Riva guards, and passing from the top. Very strong mount attacks. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Send me some recommendations, and I'll be trying to do more of these guys. Thank you very much. Hope everyone is staying safe.